So for now, everyone is migrating. Not everyone is adapting. No, not everyone is suited for migration.
People moving, but it's the limitations of the movement that the new laws is creating the problem.
There are other countries, they want the manpower, they want people. At the same time, they don't want to integrate them.
So when you talked about how the Moroccan culture is loaded, because there is a collective and there are a lot of achievement throughout the Moroccan civilization.
Immigrate Light ends 2023 on a happy note. We are doing a special episode of immigration as a concept, the pull-push relationship and how it impacts immigrants. Other facets revolving around immigration of North Africans were addressed too. My two guests, Wadi'at Hamza, who has lived for long in Switzerland, crosses opinions with Muad Baha, who has been moving to and fro between Morocco, Belgium, and then recently Saudi Arabia for work. He is among those who have not yet taken the leap. Yeah. Welcome, guys. Welcome to my podcast, and I'm so happy to have you here, not just as friends, but as knowledgeable people about the immigration issue and what the immigrants have been facing. You have had, I would like to let you talk about your experience with immigration. Let's start with
Yeah, sure.
Muad.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, it's not really full immigration, but just traveling for work in different countries. So maybe I'll share with you some special experiences and how I see myself being in different countries, not in one in a long time, but being in different countries with work. So this is something that I'll be happy to share with you.
Yes, Suade.
For me, I mean, my migration started first with as an exchange student to the US, and then part of my master degree, I had to go to Spain and Italy for my graduate studies, and then 10 years ago, I migrated fully to Switzerland for a job position that I got. So I've been away from home for 10 years now.
Okay, great. So I would like to start this special episode as a wrap up for the previous episodes, like the end of season one, and there's no better way to end it than with you guys. So first of all, I would like to know just the concept of immigration is defined by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as I would read. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. So how does that resonate with you guys?
For me, it's like any other law. There is a perfect world when we have the rules, but reality it's always different than what we set as laws. So yeah, what the laws says is makes sense. You know, like resonates with our feelings, our nature, and how human developed like for centuries. That makes sense, but the reality it's totally different on how immigration is and how people are treated and how immigration is being used for different agendas for countries for any group of people. So this is regarding this first part for this law.
For me, migration it's a matter of a human right, because we know the concept of migration as we know it today is something that is actual of today. Uh, Human beings migrated throughout history, and actually, what created the problem of migration as we know it today is the borders. And borders are an invention of human beings in the 20th century. Before there was no borders, there were no visas or quotas. So when you create visas or quotas or borders, that's when you create the problem of having access to migration or not. But before that, everyone had the right to go wherever they want, without having that limitation of access. Maybe there was access to the city during the day, during the night, but it was not regulated in the same way as we know it today. So for me, the problem is not people moving, but it's the limitations of the movement that the new laws is creating, that is creating the problem. So migration was never a problem throughout history. It's now a problem because of that.
Yeah. But when they say that they are endowed with reason and conscience, that's, I mean, a lot, because when you talk about the illiteracy rate in the 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 countries that are from which people immigrate, their education level is low, so they don't have that reason and they don't have that conscience to go to a host country and add value to it.
If we look at it this way, this is like we have a causality here. So if we look at it like these people, they are not educated, we have to go back, because there was some kind of immigration or colonization that we had at some time that we are suffering now, that pushed people in a like in a way to migrate depending on colonization. So before, it was not that like obvious as before, but now it's more we see it more often. Okay, so when we talked about immigration and the history, and for the people like migrated like long time ago, they say like in the like since like the caveman, there was like people who sits by the fire, and there are people who wander. So for now, everyone is migrating. Not everyone is adapting. No, not everyone is suited for migration, because before, people migrated because they decided to migrate, depending on the weather or war or whatever. So people, they migrate, they integrate to the other culture, they move. So that's why we have this this like what do you call it? These cultures, because culture, it's a mix of people. I believe in that. So when someone says, I want to save my culture, the culture, it's like a consequence of thousands of years, of hundreds of years of migration, mixing, people mixing. So you end up either with a rich culture, a good culture, or a different culture. I would not say a bad culture. So it's up to the hosting country, and especially the hosting country nowadays, they are the ones responsible of how they want to, not to use, but how to welcome this migrants. Because from my experience, going to like different countries and working for like projects, you see some countries where people like they get integrated easily, they have less problems with them. There are other countries, they want the manpower, they want people, at the same time they don't want to integrate them. So this is something that's different from one country to another. So so this is my point for this one. I let Wadia like share his points before I don't know, like I don't want to be jumping from one point. It's a huge topic. So this is my take on this part, the history of migration.
Go ahead,
I mean,
sir.
as I said before, throughout history, immigration was always a positive matter for the receiving, but also for the person migrating. I don't think that migration is linked to the education piece, because the education piece existed throughout the history of human beings. And it was never a problem. We don't know any part of the world that don't have human beings, because they didn't have access to education, or they didn't access to something. Even if you go to the most remote areas, you find human beings, because there are people who choose by choice to stay there. So migration is a choice. As people want to work in this field or this field, there's always that choice. And some people, they want to go somewhere else because of their choice, to a cold place, to a warmer place, to a beach, to the mountains. So I don't link it to education per se. Sometimes there is forced migration because of a war or because of a catastrophic reason. But in general, migration, and the biggest percentage of migrants is by choice.
I want to share like something, the difference, the migration that we have right now. Before the migration, it was like time consuming, and it's not easy to migrate. Like here I talk about long distance migration, like you move from one country to another, because we had like in our region in North Africa or something, we have like regional migration. But when you move from you move from your culture, let's say a Muslim culture, for example, you go to a Christian culture, for example. Before, it was time consuming, it's not easy, and the people who migrate, like they are minority, and they integrate, they have to integrate, so they move and they live in that land. It's not easy to go back. Now migration, it's never been easier, and we have the migration in huge numbers. Luckily, just the borders, they are, which is the limiting factor for this movement of people. So what I want to say is, like, before we didn't have borders, now we have borders. Okay, so we have like these borders that are against the human evolution. So we are maintaining people in one country. There are some countries, like in our country, people, they cannot leave their country. What I believe in is that since the immigration is really easy, it has to be regulated. But this is not, it's being used instead of regulated. What I mean is that, for example, there are some countries that they use migration as weapon. And the exporting country. For the hosting countries, they do not integrate, as I said before, they did not integrate well the migrants. So this creates some people when they go to that country and they are not integrated. That makes sense. They want to hold on to their culture. Anyone wants to hold to keep their culture, to keep what they believe in, which is their identity. So what I believe in, we have to regulate this migration between countries by need, because before it was the need of like individual need. That's why I migrate. But now it's like a national need, or like to want people to travel, to go to that country. It can be a win-win.
Yeah.
But to keep it like now, we have like this, you mentioned this UN definition or international human rights definition of migration. Yeah, that makes sense. But the way it is implemented, I think it's there are no laws. We have laws for other like phenomenons, but we don't have that for immigration. So we need to regulate this the immigration, I mean.
I okay, I have the people that I talked to in the previous episode. There was a Moroccan guy who said that in the 70s, Canada was asking people and doing a lot of publicity to have people come over to Canada and work here because of an economic need, which is still the case now. So it's not just, I don't think it's a matter of choice. It's an economic need that the people are trying to find answers to by going to a host country. The host country, I I raised before the point of balance. Do you think that your culture is more important than the host countries, or your culture is, I would say, like, for example, the Moroccan culture has years of history behind it. So it's loaded compared to the Canadian culture. So this is what makes the change for the Moroccans, for example, harder. And I mean, adapting to a new culture harder, because they have a culture that's already independent by itself, and it's I mean, rich, and would not leave any gaps for them to fill, or that would be filled by the host country. But the thing is, going back to Muslims in history, they have always gone all the way to other countries, to other civilizations, to explore them out of a search for knowledge, or for trading with other I mean, countries. Do you think that this has changed now, because there is poverty more and more, and stability in the political system of Arabs or Muslims?
No, I don't think so. I mean, for me, the cultural piece is important, but if we look at the definition of culture, which is the arts and the manifestation of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. So when you talked about how the Moroccan culture is loaded, because there is a collective and there are a lot of achievement throughout the Moroccan civilization. Canada as a country doesn't have that history, so it's in the construction. But what's the Canadian culture? It's the collective again of all those cultures that immigrants are bringing as well. And you can see that with the bigger manifestation in the US or in some European countries where they have that load of culture. But if you see the Moroccan culture, it's in itself loaded with a lot of achievements of immigrants that came to Morocco during the last centuries. We have, for example, the Gnawa music, which is mixed with some of the African music coming from West Africa. We have of course the Islamic culture, but also we have the Iberic culture. All those are part of the Moroccan culture. So there is no country that can say my culture was not influenced by anyone in the world. There is that it's the confluence of all the cultures that are coming in. So of course, people, when they migrate, they come to a place, like if we take the example of Canada, you have different cultures, you have what's there already, and it's gonna be the mix. People, of course, they should integrate, they should respect the laws of the country, but they don't have to renegade their own cultures to be part of they can, the culture is the sum of many parts. So they can, and if we take the example, I live in Switzerland. Switzerland is also a country loaded with heavy culture because of centuries of the country. It has more than 800 years that they were living as the same country and in peace. Very important. So it has that load of culinary, of clothing, of culture, political, especially like the democracy on how it's applied in the daily lives. It doesn't mean that I cannot celebrate that and celebrate, because they're not conflictual. Actually, they are complementary. I bring in some things that don't exist. I take some of the things that exist. So culture is an important part of migration, but I see it as complementary, and they are not in contradiction. You cannot, it's not like because you are Swiss that you have to not be Moroccan. You can be Moroccan Swiss. Or even if you are Swiss, you can have the Moroccan part of it. It's not like you will stop eating your culinary dishes or wearing whatever you wear. But it's complementary as I see it.
I totally agree with you, Wadia. So yeah, so what I want just to add a quick point here. Humans are like a social species, so we live in a pack. So that's been the case always, and it's still the case even if you have some fragmented societies, unfortunately. But what the way I see it, because when you are in a group when you migrate, being this century or centuries ago, when you migrate, you join a society, be it a village, be it another nation, another religion, whatever. When you join that society, there should be like an effort from both parties. The migrants, they have to migrate because they are the ones who are like joining this society, and the hosts, it makes sense, they are always wary of change. So when they see some other members joining the culture, they see something new, and it makes sense they can be defensive. But luckily, with the human, how we evolved, how we the world changed, and the people are more prepared to host migrants than before, because we know other cultures. Even if I'm in Morocco, I know about Canada, its culture. So it's and vice versa. So this is very important. So we should not like see it us migrants and hosts. So everyone should like meet each other in halfway, and each one tries to be part of the society and have that society like the priority of them. Because when you are in that society, you have to work for that society. You have to help that society prosper. So you should not be there and be like me and myself and the others. That won't work, and that society won't be like functioning as it should be. So that's my point for that.
Well, there are a lot of Moroccans who are here in Canada who are made comments about discrimination, being discriminated against, especially in the French area of Canada. And and a lot of them raise issues about raising their kids. There was even a study recently that said like 0.8% are going back to Morocco. They said that the trip back to Morocco increased by 30%, but the number is like very minimal. But still, there are a lot of people are considering going back because of the issues rising, polarization here in the Canadian society, and the rise of costs, which is very, very, important here. And throughout the guys that I spoke to, or the teachers here at the college, they raised the point of traveling to another country or immigrating to another country creates a lot of trauma that the families are not aware of, that they don't, they're not conscious of. They're enduring the consequences of that, but unconsciously, they don't know how to deal with that. So immigration is related to trauma. Is this true, or do you think it can be, overcome with time? Or as Muad said, if the host country meets us midway, then that would not exist. From the start.
You want to go? I think.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
In my experience, I don't think it's migration is a traumatizing, apart if it's illegal, or you have to go through ways that are illegal, and then it's going to be traumatizing. Of course, we're all aware of the stories of many refugees trying to cross the Mediterranean, or trying to cross the Mexican-American borders. Those are, of course, traumatizing experiences. But the regular migration, I never thought of it as a traumatizing experience. Of course, there needs to be a preparation, mental preparation. You need to make sure that you know the laws of the country, not in terms of not respecting them, but in terms of adapting yourself to them. Like, for example, if you have to migrate to Switzerland, you need to be prepared in terms of the billing services. Everything comes to you by post, and you have a certain time to pay your dues. And if it's not, it can like quickly escalate to something that is not good. Migrants, they have more problems because they're not prepared to it. So for me, it's migration. It's a choice, but it's also your responsibility to make sure that you know your dues, but also your rights. When you go to a new country, you need to know the laws of housing, the neighboring. For example, in Switzerland, a lot of migrants, they come and they don't know that they cannot make noise after 10 and on Sundays. So it's something normal here, but for some cultures, it's not normal. So they don't know. And then they are facing the police and they have problems. So for me, it's if a person wants to migrate, they need to know to where they are going and prepare themselves for that. If you don't, of course, it's going to be a traumatizing experience for the person, for the families, and so on and so forth. So for me, it's more of a responsibility of preparation to not have that traumatizing. A lot of people, for example, I mean, you're talking about Canada, because it's a fashion, it's the tendency to go to Canada. They just come and go and jump on that experience, not knowing if their diplomas can be equivalent. You've heard of stories of doctors driving Uber because they cannot practice. They didn't know that, or lawyers. So it's the responsibility of the person making that regular legal move, uh, to know where they are going and if they are well prepared for that experience. I mean, and it's not only across borders. It can be in the same country. If you are going from a small town to a big city and you don't know how rent works, it can be a traumatizing experience, or how schools system work for the kids, or if you don't have a driver's license and you need to drive your kids to the school, of course, it's going to be a traumatizing experience, especially if there is no public transportation. So it's any move from one place to another, it needs to be well prepared.
And just to add here, for the when we talk about trauma, depending from which situation you're coming from, I look at it like it's a delta between what you are living in to what you're going to live. So some people who are coming from like war zones and like crazy, like these people who've been like who've been through hell, when you go to that hosting country, it's like a relief for them. And of course, here after that comes integration. It's easier for this kind of people because this kind of people, they just see they are in people who hit rock bottom. They only see way up. So, but the example that Wadia gave, like if you are like an engineer, a doctor, you're going to a country, because we see people here, they go because the kind of immigration that we are living now, we see now, we have some new migration, because before what we had people like illegal immigrants that migrate in early age, late age, at any age, but they have the same persona, okay? But the second ones, they are the ones who continue their studies, okay, after the high school. Then we have the migrants who go after they finish their studies here, then they go and work in the hosting country. The last one, which is the weird one, is that people who are like in late age got kids. They have good I would not say like good, but okay career, or sometimes it's not about even the career, and they migrate at late age. Each profile of these migrants, they adapt differently. So I think like the last ones, they are the worst to or who get traumatized, who it's more difficult for them to integrate. But the ones that they go early age, it's easier for them to integrate. And when we talk about integration, the problem that I see now, like in many countries, is like some laws. Before they had laws that are like easy for everyone. Everyone has to abide by the law. But now there are some things, some laws that touches the fabric of the family. Okay, so it's not even laws that dictate how the society works, but now we're seeing like laws that dictate how you raise your kids. So this is something that I think some some people that going back or moving from one country to another, it's due to this kind of laws. So these laws are aggressive, and they chase people out of these hosting countries. I don't know if it's but it's done like on purpose, or this is yeah, a defensive mechanism from the societies, or it's just the way it is, and how this society is evolving. So this is I see here it's this is used, I think, from like forever. People are used, okay, be it migrants, using culture, using religion, using any mean to like to serve the agenda of this hosting countries. Because, and also it's not the hosting countries, also the source country, they have an agenda. They sometimes use migrants. So this complicates things for migrants who are like does not like migrate by chance, like most of them. But I go, that's what brings me back to what I was talking about at the beginning. It regulates migration, like nation to nation, bilateral agreements, because each country can serve other countries. Some people, they need some kind of skills. Some other countries, they need some needs white collars, some blue collars. So like these countries, when they regulate this migration, they can like both prosper. Because as you said, some of these migrants, they go back to their origins, which bring back some good things. Hopefully they it's a full package. So when you regulate things, you can foresee any outcomes to the societies, and you know how to handle them.
Yeah.
So that's my point of for this trauma and regulation.
In Canada, the immigration is helping a lot. GDP, 1 out of 4 businesses are owned by immigrants. The trauma comes from the expectations, as Odia was saying, because they come hoping that once they get here, everything is better than their home, the original home. But as soon as they got here, the system is different, the expectations are different, and they are just thrown out there. The Moroccan representatives here do not help. So they seek the support system within the Moroccan community, for example, and they are not helped that much. And they want to do things the way they used to do them in Morocco. I mean, trying to work around the system, and this will never work. And of course, the family values, as you said, if you go to school and you have to follow up with your kid, these, I mean, a lot of parents don't do, because they have to look for a job. So they don't have time to sit with their kids and follow up with their studies and stuff. This is traumatizing for the parents and traumatizing for the kids. Traumatizing for the parents because they don't have a job. They think it's easy to get a job here, but for any job, be it, I mean, blue collar, white collar, I don't know what, it's a very strenuous process. So it's not, I mean, easy at all to get a job. So they look for ways like invest into real estate, get mortgages, not declare everything, work around the taxes, around the system. And this leaves them, I mean, lonely, because even their ideas for business are executions, not planned ideas, so they don't work out as they're expected. There's also some form of structural discrimination, because the system here would not allow an Arab or a Muslim to hold some positions in the government, or some positions that are sensitive are for Canadian people, and they'll not be given to the Arabs or to immigrants who are newcomers. So this is where the trauma starts. And also some parents would not accept to let go of their values, of their Muslim values, when they come to the host country. And this is also another source of frustration to the.
I think what's important to put here is that migration, the first act of migration is knowing what you want. And every place has advantage, disadvantage. And people should, imbrick themselves like in a Tetris, where they fit with what they want. There is no place that is perfect, either in Canada, in the US, Morocco, Australia, Gulf countries, Europe. It's just you, your values, and what you are looking for in terms of a living, from your social bubble to the education of the kids to the job. If people don't know what they want or what's their purpose in life, whatever you put them, there will be a trauma. So that question, unfortunately, in many cultures, it's not asked. It's just the day-to-day living and the day-to-day finding your bread, as we say, to eat and feed your kids, doesn't work in some cultures. For example, in Switzerland, if you don't have an oversight of vision of the next months, there is no way you can have a meeting with someone or plan your life. Like now we're talking about summer 2024 in terms of planification of when you're off, when you're not off, the authorizations from the schools for the kids, and so on and so forth. If you are living day by day, there is no way you can fit in the Swiss system. So it's the importance of knowing your purpose, knowing what are your values, what you stand for, and will they fit, and will you fit into that new environment? It's a chemistry first before being it anything else. If it's chemistry and it's gonna work, you're gonna fit. You can keep your culture, remove it, do whatever you want, you'll fit. For me, I don't see it as removing a part or saying I'm not this or I'm that. It's just a chemistry fit between you and the new environment. If it's a fit and you know what you want, you will absolutely be fine. If it's not a fit, then it doesn't work for you, even within your own country.
Yeah, so when you migrate, what are you bringing to that hosting country? So you have to have something to help that society. So you should not be a burden for that society. Like, yeah, even if you are fleeing like misery or whatever, you have to have that mindset of helping that society to prosper, to integrate with the help of the hosting country, of course. That way, everyone is a winner. So when there is no people are coming without purpose, as Wadia said, and without tools to help that society, of course you will be rejected. That makes sense, because you will be a burden for that country. That's what we see a lot in the hosting countries, where people, as you said, Brahim, is that people play with regulations and try to benefit from the social aid, and just be there and profit from the country. Unfortunately, this is not done by purpose from the immigrants. This is how they are. It's a survival mechanism. So that's how they were raised in their country origins, and how they survived their society. When they move to that new society, they need some time to integrate, to change their behavior, because this is not something easy to change. The older you get, the more difficult your behavior, your attitude, your what makes you has to change, so that you integrate to that in that society. Like from traveling to some countries in work, you see some countries they're like transparent, or like discreet. You don't hear about them. So when you don't hear about a culture in a country, you mean they are integrated, no problems, and they are helping this country. If you are a burden, for sure you will be rejected, and the laws will be like shaped to kick you out. So this is what's happening. And what is unfortunate, what I see, is that the third world countries, immigrants, they do not go like to the syndicates. Like, even if where they live, when they have votes, they have meetings, they just ignore them, and they don't go for them. They brought this idea from their country, like voting does not count. But for these hosting countries, voting, your presence is very important. They can be there. They can also shape the law when they want. They can, because they are they are like they are like they are like a big community. So they have to integrate. They need like programs. You don't see like I don't know, ads. You don't see like I'm talking for myself. Maybe you've seen that, like ads, like YouTubers talking about how to integrate, how to do that, how to change. You don't see that. So each family, each immigrant, he's by himself, depending on the culture. There are some cultures that not cultures, that the community. There are some communities that welcome in, they help the new immigrants to integrate to the country. Some other communities, it's you're by yourself. You go there, you struggle, you bring your luggage with you. You give if you give a bad impression because of your origins, your how you were shaped in your culture. Another one, let's say from the same community, the same country, comes again with the same issues, with the same errors, and goes on. The hosting country, they will have like a stereotype. That's how stereotypes are created. So this country gets like they will have these stereotypes, get defensive. So it's really this integration. It should, I don't know who should like take the lead. For sure it's the hosting countries, but it needs like international organizations. I don't know, UN or whatever bodies that we have, international bodies that we have. They have to help with this integration.
Yeah, you raised a good point there about the numbers of immigrants, because we're noticing that Canada has recently capped the number of immigrants, mainly in relationship with the international students, because there are no housing. There are no houses for the international students. There are many students who paid their tuition fees, and once they reach here, Canada, there's no home for them in the residence of the campus. So they had to look elsewhere, and the housing is very expensive, and it's not there for people, let alone students. So this is why I pushed the government to do these restrictions on immigration, even if all the colleges and universities here prefer international students because they pay more than the domestic students, of course, but they're mostly coming from India or from other countries. So the point here about North Africans is that they are a minority. They are adding some value to the society here, but they are a minority. The thing is, talking about Africa, I found a study recently done by the African Center of Strategic Studies, and it surprised me because I found out that 2021, 21 million Africans immigrate within Africa, and only 11 million go to Europe. 6 million go to North America. So these numbers are striking me. I always thought that Africa is a source of immigration because of the poverty, but the tendency recently is changing, and these numbers confirm that. I don't know what you think about that, or if you have insight about this issue here, changing.
I mean,
That's
as Muad said, like the stereotypes are building up, and it's used as a political tool. You mentioned the numbers related to Africa, and it's important to stress that 4 out of 5 migrants stay within Africa. Only 1 out of 5 go abroad, and only 10% of that 1 out of 5 go irregularly move to another country. And we only talk about African migrants thinking of crossing the Mediterranean in a boat and dying on the Mediterranean, unfortunately. Yes, it's a loss. There are names behind those numbers, but it's the minority of the Africans that move. And actually, there are only 7.2 Africans, migrants in European countries as refugees.
okay.
Means that the rest are regular migrants that bring economical value to Europe. Only 7% are a burden, and they seek asylum either for political reasons or for other reasons. So the stereotypes are creating an image of the migrant that is very negative. Whereas it's a very positive for countries. For example, Europe cannot survive without migrants. Actually, they need them.
Yes.
Outside Europe, but inside Europe. I'll give you a number. In Switzerland, which is a country of 8 million people, only if we see between the region of Geneva and Lausanne, which is 40 kilometers, and have 4 big hospitals, 30,000 employees of those hospitals are French crossing the border every day. So they come for economic reasons because they are paid better, but Switzerland needs them. And during COVID, the borders were kept open because of that number, because the system will collapse if those people don't cross every day to work in Switzerland. So migration and the move that migrants do, it's before being beneficial for themselves, it's beneficial for their host countries. And again, we should not forget, no one chooses where they are born. So everyone has the right to go wherever they want, and it's bringing more positive aspects to the host countries than to the people.
For me, first of all, the statistics can be interpreted in the different ways. When we say like you said, like the majority of these immigrants of Africa, they are within Africa, because it's easier to move within Africa than to move out of Africa. So this is I believe that if the borders are open, more migration will be to Europe, or to the West. This is my belief. The way I see it, like this, we have some embargoes to countries that you cannot even leave your city, let alone leave the country. The issue that we have, like, we could have like countries get like prosper like faster due to migration. Imagine, like, I give you just an example. People that they are not educated, that country that does not have the tools, it has war, and they people are not educated. They are prisoners of their country. As you said, they didn't choose to be born there. They will live there, they will raise their children there, they will be the same, a replica of their parents, and it keeps going generation to generation. If these people had the opportunity to migrate to other countries, at least they will improve their life, and for sure their children will will have a better life. And these people, when they like a lot of people moving from their country, for sure there is people, these people change can bring change back to their countries, because we should not look at it like just students, because students, they are kind of immigrants. So why we have like programs where the young leaders and stuff like that. You build people in your hosting country, you send them back to the country to help improve improve that country. So immigration can be beneficial for both. It's not just sending people out. There is always a, a part of this immigrants who will go back to their country. So if we are living like in ideal world, people who can move freely without these borders, there will be a natural equilibrium when people will stop migrating. And yeah, so it's not everyone. I'm not saying if you open the borders, people like in Morocco say open the borders, the whole Moroccan will go to Europe and live there. They won't. I give you an example. For me, I believe some countries who are like European Union, like tightening the visa for the Moroccans. But I blame Morocco, because when a Moroccan illegally goes to Europe, migrate to Europe, if they are caught there, Morocco, they do not want to get them back. If these people migrate, integrate well, follow the law, their country, they will be like welcoming. If you're not a good like immigrant, they have the right to kick you out, because like any like villages, like in a Berber culture, in any like in a tribal culture, when you go to another tribe by marriage or any other mean, if you're not like if you do not integrate, they kick you out. That's easy. But now with the laws, they cannot kick you out, and you become a burden from that country, and they have to find a way to kick you out. So people have to we have it's not an easy problem, but I look at it in a regulation issue and a communication issue, and people have to be straightforward with these immigrants.
I'll have to disagree with Muad on 2 points. I don't think that everyone is looking to migrate. I think people
Not
migrate.
everyone. I didn't say everyone. I
Yeah,
said a lot of people will migrate due to the
even
migration.
even even the lot.
Higher
I
numbers, higher
yeah,
numbers.
I disagree with, because throughout history, borders were always open, and people didn't migrate in. Actually, the migration is the same throughout history, even with the complications that we have today. The percentage are the same everywhere, and the people that leave a place, other people will come to that place. So population is growing in kind of a steadily way wherever we go, and in some places it's going because of demography, not because of migration. um, and the second aspect, people usually they migrate because of a reason or because of an opportunity, either because they have a problem with the place and that they will look for any way to go. And it can be politically, it can be because of the environment, it can be because of a choice, or because of an opportunity. For example, I always said I will not migrate, me as a person. I changed because I got an opportunity that I cannot say no to, which is a position that is only possible in Switzerland. So for me, that's the reason of the migration. Of course, tomorrow you give me a position of that that is kind of the same level as what I have, I'll go back, or I'll go to somewhere else. I don't have a problem. I don't see I limit to myself to that, because my drive is my professional career, and that's my drive. It's not the migration in itself. And then when the drive is economical or political or professional, the rest, even if they put whatever barriers, there will be only kind of challenges. There will not be barriers. And people, if they are in a small village, even in Morocco, if they want professional development or career or economical, they can go to Casablanca, which is a better place, but they don't. They are staying wherever they want because that's not their drive. So I think the drive and the motivation is important, and it's the same at the same level where it was all the time. And we always think that migration is south-north, and it's not true. Migration, it's also north to south. It just except that we give them two different words. One is a migrant, the other one is an expat, which is kind of a dichotomy of also how we think about the problem. When I used to work at the World Economic Forum, we did a survey asking young people under the age of 30 if they are willing to migrate for a better job. 80% in North America said yes, and only 70% in Latin America said yes, and only 69 or 70% in Africa said yes. So North Americans or Europeans are more open to migrate than people from the South. And here we're talking about the new generation. So migration has a lot of stereotypes that we think because of a poor country or a less educated country will go to the most developed country, and it's not the case. And you can see that, and I can find the numbers if you are interested in those. Even in the US, young people will migrate for a better economical betterment or professional career. Same in Europe. It's just except that we don't count them as migrants in the statistics. We count them as expats. And that's very unfortunate, because it gives a wrong idea about the migration, and we always think of it south to north, but it's not the case.
Would be asking you guys what you think from your experience about concepts like immigration to Canada itself. Are you for or against it?
I mean, for me, it's not about Canada or another place. It's about, again, finding your purpose. If it's your purpose align with the place and your values align with those place, then be it. If it's not, better stay where you are.
Mm-hmm. What?
For me, for someone who didn't live like for years abroad, just traveling for work, for me, I look for like when I hear Canada, I hear sometimes I get like pissed off due to like the passport that I got, but it's just like an emotional. I get emotional sometimes, moments due to this limitation. Sometimes you get, because for me, for some time I had to stop requesting visa from Europe, European countries, because of the way we are treated, the time it takes to apply for a visa, and this it's condensing for me as like a citizen of this country. But that's what give you like a pride, not a pride, but like the value of your country in the international community, because Morocco, like it does not have this this weight in moving to other countries.
Mhm.
So this is the only way how I see immigration. For me, just to get another passports and get back to Morocco. That's it. But as Wadia said, you never know its opportunities, because why I travel, because the opportunities that I get is that it's missions. I do work there. I enjoy both sides without sitting in one place. So
Mm.
you can look at it like enjoying the both cultures or suffering from both cultures. So it's up to you to see if it's a half full cup or a half empty cup.
Yeah, but if you are to immigrate, will you keep your identity, your Moroccan Muslim identity, or lower your expectations and embrace the
Ah,
host country?
as I said, uh, it's uh, it's who I am. What makes me who I am, it's where I live. So when I migrate, you have to be able to adapt. As Darwin said, it's not like the strongest species that survive, but the most adaptive ones.
Mhm.
So the way I see it, it's not that I have to keep my culture. I have some fundamentals, some beliefs that it's the core of myself, but of course the edges of my personality, it changes shapes. So whatever country, if Canada or Muad, that you will, if I migrate to Canada, it will not be the same as Muad who migrate to UAE or France or other country. So that's why how I see myself, like migrating. I
Mm.
should not be the same for the others, but for me, I'll be the same,
Okay.
but different, not skin, but different, like plugs
Mhm.
to fit in that country.
Yeah, that's the idea.
No, for me, as I said, like it's not about Canada or not. It's your purpose and your values. If they fit, then be it. If they don't fit. So for example, I did an exercise with my wife and my kids, and we have a list of countries. There is no way we're going there. Whatever we said, they don't fit with our values, with the way we see our collective as a nucleus family. So I received opportunities from those countries. I said no.
Mhm.
And there are some countries where, as Muad said, you are flexible with the edges,
Yeah.
but the core stays there.
Mhm. Okay. And how about raising your kids abroad?
I mean, I'm raising them abroad. It's again, if you have a set of values and you have a set of beliefs, and you pass them to your kids, there is no taboo question. There is a taboo way of addressing the question. So there are many topics that are raised either at school or within the society. I have those discussions with them, either with me or my wife, and we solve them. But I don't see it. I mean, they see themselves as Moroccan Swiss. They wear both jerseys of football teams, and they recognize themselves in both the Swiss culture and the Moroccan culture.
Mhm.
So it doesn't mean that if they are taking part of the Swiss culture, they are removing part of the Moroccan culture. No, they have both, and that's their culture, that's their identity, that's who they are. And it's their choice to choose whatever they want and what suits them in terms of their values.
Yeah. Okay. For me, when my son raised the issue about Morocco and Canada's last World Cup, which team are you siding with? He said, I'm Morocco. I'm going for Morocco all the way. I'm never consider Canada as my
Yeah.
country, or I supported it because their team sucks. That's it.
Because probably the team sucks, that's why.
Raising kids in a host country comes with challenges. I'm sure you had somewhere one that you can share with us, with if any.
No, I frankly no. I mean challenges as any parents of raising kids, but not linked to the culture or linked to the place. No, not really.
No.
No, not really.
My son was blamed for being a touchy person.
I don't have kids, but
Luckily, or
what I see, like I was a kid, so I can like just give like the way how I see it. If I have kids, I see like the kids, or you have to believe in things by conviction, and by doing research, by knowing, not being dictated and brainwashed. So the people who are like just following the laws without understanding the behind the scenes, or the global like a broader view of these beliefs, it will be difficult for you to go another culture, and this culture will have different communication, different way to talking to you. You will be defensive all the time. But if you have beliefs, the way you shaped your core throughout your life, when you go to that country, when your beliefs will be challenged, you will have the tools and the critical thinking to challenge them, and or to accept them, or to reject them in a civilized manner, not like being in a clash with that society. So this is how I see it, how kids should be raised, should be critical, should learn, because they are being raised in another culture. You should not expect them to have core values like yours. Of course, sometimes for us, we might be misled. We think that our core values are the ideal or the perfect ones. So we have to try to give the kids the right tools to shape their lives and to be a good part of the society.
Do you think, guys, that the first generation immigrants are luckier than the new ones, or it's the opposite?
Depending, if I might just answer, because I saw this some immigrants, Moroccan immigrants in Europe. This kind of immigrants, I only see them in some places in Europe. We don't have them even here in Morocco. So these kids, depending on their parents, what happens is that the first immigrants, sometimes they are not they are not integrated. Okay, so they live in that host country with 100% their like their like original culture. Okay, when their kids, when they raise their kids at home, they are as if they are living in the original country, and when they go outside, they are living another image of life. So they get like they get like bipolar or whatever. So at sometime these kids will be either, they will be rebels, either to the new culture, or the outside culture,
Yeah.
or the home culture. So this sometimes you see these kids that are like victim of this non-integration of their like first generation. But
Yeah.
if I think if the first generation is well integrated, I think it's easier for the second generation.
I mean, I think it's again, the especially if we look at the Moroccan migrants, the first generations, they were forced to migrate. So you remove that choice. So as Muad said, like they were kind of in rebellious mode because they were forced economically, or forced to go and fight in World War II or be in the military. So they always looked at the host country as the enemy, or they looked at the host country as an external force that is trying to get from them what they want. And of course, that situation is traumatizing. Again, back to the question of trauma, is traumatizing, and it will not have good consequences for them, for their kids, for the second or even third generation.
Mhm.
And if you look at, talking again about Morocco as an experience, the generation that migrated from the 40s till the 80s or 90s were kind of forced, were kind of more blue collar migrant. What you see in the last years are more of white collar migrants, and those, they integrate better because of the education, because of their status, because of their jobs. They've already encountered international people in their jobs within Morocco. That, talking about my case, for example, I worked with foreigners in Morocco before even working abroad. So when I landed my job in Geneva, Switzerland, it was a continuity for me. Nothing like, 3 weeks apart. It's like if I was moving jobs in Morocco. Nothing different. So I didn't had, I didn't see even challenges to integration or anything. It was a continuity of my journey.
Okay.
Where for the last generation, it was not a continuity, it was a break. And that break has consequences. And that's what Muad alluded to and gave examples of. And I see the last year's migration will not have that kind of break. And actually, if you ask the actual Moroccan migrants abroad, they don't want to be called émigrés, which is the Moroccans living abroad. They're said like, no, we're not part of that. And you see a big chunk. They don't even want to go during the summer to not be mixed
Yeah.
with the other Moroccans that are from those second or third generation.
Mhm.
But again, we see, and there is a lot of talk now that Morocco is moving economically, and there are a lot of opportunities. There is a wave back that is starting. Media started to talk about it, and it's interesting to see that clash, not in the host country, but in Morocco, because they bring values that are not. They think they are Moroccan, but they're not Moroccans.
Mhm.
For example, we see the migrants; they are more conservative in terms of religious values than the Moroccans living in Morocco.
Yeah.
And just if you surf in Twitter, you will see that clash
Yeah.
of right-wing nationalism, conservative, that is mainly Moroccans living abroad of second, third generation, and the Moroccans that are in social media that are more of the open-minded, but they live in Casablanca, Morocco, with even more knowledge about the host countries than the ones who live there.
Yeah. Whether from your experience with the Davos debates and stuff, are the Westerners regretting starting this immigration?
No,
That's-
because it brings economical value to the countries.
Mhm.
I mean, even all the politicians using it, they know that it brings economical value. It's a tool that they are using they are using to gain into access. Actually, I have a number which I saw it, which says that I can't find time to find it, but it's around seven in the 70s%. That's 70%, I think. But maybe Muad can answer, and I'll find you a number that is shockingly interesting about that question,
Yes.
where the load of the importance of migrants in the European
Okay.
countries.
Okay. Yeah. Here in Canada, Maad, the conservatives are blaming the liberals who are now in power because they use the immigrants as a political force, just people to vote for them. Trudeau is allowing as many immigrants as possible because he knows that the Canadians hate him. They don't want him to run for elections again. So he uses the immigrants who are loyal to him because he allowed them to come into Canada to vote for him so he can maintain his, I mean, the liberals, what let's say, the majority in the government. So the Westerners choose to invite immigrants in because they help them politically and economically, of course.
As I said at the beginning, so it goes back to regulating the migration, country to country. They are being used. The cases that you just mentioned, they are being used by the host country. And even the other way, they are all also used by the like the what do you call it, the source country or the exporting country. So Morocco, for example, they use it as a tool in the northern border with Spain, with Europe. So if there is an issue, they open the gate and they say we are not like we are not like a security guy or whoever blocking the migration. Now when they want solution, they find solution. Whoever, as I said, everyone has an agenda, and the people without agenda, they are part of the agenda. So either you have your way, people like the educated people with diplomas, with like experiences, they are less used, but the illegal immigration, or like Trudeau, what he's doing, he's making legal immigration for his own agenda.
Yeah.
So for me, we have to again to regulate to find a win-win between countries, because as you can see for the United States, they say that it's like it's a mix of cultures. If you look at the international immigration lottery that the US does, they don't do it for the Indians. They don't do it for some countries. So they use immigration in a good way for their culture to make sure that no ethnic group or a community gets bigger than another one. So for the US, they change the quotas depending on this ethnic groups within the United States. This way they make sure this country stays mixed equally between cultures, and they make sure that no culture overrule the other one. So the immigration is being used. So depending on the one in power, or having this immigrants on their hands, on how they are gonna use it. Most of the case they are used in a selfish way, but hopefully when countries agree, and sometimes when you don't share your resources, because people are resources. So we should not look at them. Yeah, we look at them they are humans, but at the end they are resources of this planet. So these countries, they have to know how to use their resources. You can either use them for the benefit of humanity, or you can use it for political agendas, and fighting other like your enemies. So that's how I look at it in this for this like this point.
To be back on the point, I found the statistics that actually shows migrants are not a burden on the host countries. For example, with Europe's Asian population that will increase, of course, the demand of labor, by 2055, Europe will have the world's largest, and Africa will have the world's smallest dependency ratio. While in Europe, there will be 78.2 dependent people per 100 working age people, the ratio will be only 58.9 in Africa. So Europe needs migrants. Of course, now they are selecting, they have the selective migrants through applications, through quotas, and through different mechanisms.
Mm.
The politicians are only looking at the problematical aspect of migration, which is the illegal migration. But again, only 10% of 80% are illegal migrants that are coming from Africa, which is an important number to keep in mind. Actually, there are African countries within Africa that took more illegal migrants than Europe during the last vague with the Syrians and the Afghans that hit Europe. So to tell you that there are a lot of Africans that accept, and actually, if you look at the acceptability of migrants within European countries, the top 10 they are mainly Europeans, and top 10 are mainly Africans, and the non-acceptability of Africans, the top 10 are mainly Europeans.
Okay.
The way this dilemma, because the Western, as what you said, they need the immigrants. Why? Because they have a bigger problem, which is the birth rate issue. So most of these countries, they are below the minimum to sustain a society, which is the two kids per like the average 2 kids. But most of these countries, they have like below. Even some countries they reached one, like the Koreans. Like it's just a matter.
Japan, they
Yeah,
have
Japan, it's even
decrease
worse.
in population.
Yeah. So this they have this issue, so they are trying to fix this issue with migration. Before there was not, we had other issues which were like temporary issues related mainly to wars, like smaller wars, not at the scale that we have right now. And when I say smaller wars, like the how many people dies, I'm talking about like not like centuries ago. So this birth issue, which is being fixed by migration, but the way this is the fabric of society is changing. It's becoming more materialistic, and people like the whole family. We started to have this nuclear families, and we cannot we ca- we they cannot have kids. They cannot have time for their kids, so they do not give birth even in Morocco. So they say like Africans, they give birth a lot. Even in Morocco, we are in Africa now, we are going to this this rate. So Morocco is not even safe from that. So this is something which is which we are inheriting from these hosting countries. So we are inheriting this birth rate issue, thanks to unfortunately to the kind of like uncontrolled capitalism and another topic. So the immigration, we should not always look at it as people portray it, politicians portray it as a bad thing. But in reality, in many cases, it's a good thing for societies.
Yeah, but how do you guys see the future of this debate?
I mean, I think it's gonna stay as it is. Whatever populist agendas will do or say, the migration will still exist. It's a fact. I think what's important is to look at it from a cultural perspective, in terms of what migrants bring in terms of the culture. A lot of people talk about that there is the big replacement of replacing people, but that's how it was throughout centuries. This big replacement is a big discussion in France nowadays, but the French language replaced many local languages in France, just under the monarchy. So it's an evolution of the human beings, We think that the era where we live is the best and is the biggest, but human beings are evolving and things will evolve. Migration existed before this debate, and it exists and it will still exist.
Okay, thank you.
For me, I see that immigration changes, or the debate changes country by country, but the whole picture will stay the same, because it gets better for some countries, it gets worse from other countries. So it's a balance of power, the balance of prosperity, how this moves, because throughout history the immigration moves with it. So
Mm.
whenever a country like prospers, the um, the immigration it's an inflow. If the society is in a decline, it goes the other way. So this it's case by case, country by country. Even look at the Chinese. Before, they did not have like a lot of Chinese, like, not, they have some communities, but the Chinese, they have like programs, like companies. Imagine when they want to send like expats, they give them what do you call it, they do like some orientation, some trainings, to prepare them to be expats, or to be immigrants, because they are immigrants, as what I said. It's just a fancier word for
Yeah.
that. So they do an effort for their expat to go other countries and to better integrate. So China is doing like this program. I don't see other countries that do these programs for their expats or immigrants. Like, you go there, you have to do that, per country, per culture.
Mm. Thank you. Wow, this topic is, is mind-boggling. It's a lot of things. Yeah, that's a lot of things to cover. Even if we stay here for a whole day, it's,
We can stay overnight.
yeah. Do you have any closing comments, guys? Thank you so much for the exchange. It was enriching and interesting. Thank you. Do you have any closing remarks?
For me, again, migration is a positive move. Human beings, we are afraid from change, but change is a positive thing again. Same thing as migration, and it's about knowing your purpose, knowing your values, and see where the chemistry fit. If you have those and you are prepared mentally, migration will be a continuity of your journey wherever you are.
Thank you. Super.
For me, as I said before, I want to close with that. Immigration, or immigrants, they are resources. So it's up to people in power, or like countries, to better, either to use these resources to the better good for the world and societies, or to use them for war, for selfish like goals. And the second point, the last point, is regulation. Hopefully, we'll see like immigration being regulated, maybe starting by country, by like bilateral agreements, and go on to have like an international, detailed immigration to solve whoever see it as a problem.
Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure sharing that with you, and hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Likewise.
Take care.
Thank you.
Guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. This is it for Immigrate Light. Make sure you do this before embarking on an immigration experience. Decide your purpose, learn as much as possible about the host country, focus on your values, and take the whole experience one step at a time. Do not forget your mental health, love, eat, and be happy. A like, share, and subscribe would do us good. Encourage us to do more. For quality improvement, please comment and give suggestions. See you next time.